Part 109. Heaven-Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1091. Emperor Hedi proposed something similar to alliance. Wu Yu could tell that Emperor Yu was not hostile to him, but had a little respect for him. Therefore, he is also considering it seriously. Wu Yu, what do you mean? Under the expectant gaze of Emperor He first communicated with Wu Yu secretly. Of course Wu Yu said, I think there are too many people, and I don't know them well. The key is that their lineup is stronger than ours. So I don't recommend it. In this ancient soul tower, the future position of Emperor Xuanhuan was related. Wu Yu felt that even his respected brother could no longer believe it at this time. But it was obvious that the emperor didn't seem to know how to refuse. At this time, Emperor He seemed to see his dilemma, and said with a smile, you don't need to feel any pressure. I'm just sighing. Those foreigners, because of the pilgrimage of all nations, are holding back their energy and want to fight with us. When we are divided, they often unite together. Once I faced threats from several people, whether they were other cultivators, ghost cultivators, demons, or even sea demons, I was willing to unite to deal with them. But it's such a shame that we didn't come together. If this continues, let alone our sons and daughters, the possibility of our Xuanhuan tribe getting the Xuanhuan gold pearl is very low. The Xuanhuan gold pearl is a pilgrimage treasure from all nations. If it is returned to them, to be honest, our Xuanhuan tribe will the face of our generation has been completely lost. Having said this, Emperor He sighed heavily and looked helpless. Xiaja. Please understand your seventh brother. He has indeed seen that we have suffered too much. Everything is difficult at the beginning. Now we have just made the decision to unite with our own people. We will meet more of our own people in the future. Everyone first, when we get together, we are united. There is strength in numbers. Even if we don't meet Xuanhuangju, at least when we are together, we are the only ones who bully others, and no one else bullies us. Emperor's concubine Hua Muchen's eyes flashed softly. Looking at Emperor Yu. Wu Yu didn't say much, but seeing the situation, it would be difficult for Emperor Yu to refuse. After all, Emperor He was doing this in the name of the dignity of the Xuanhuan people, so there must be some truth to it. If he refuses at this time, he may become enemies with the other party. It seems that Emperor Zi is not willing to do so. After all, among the emperor's sons and daughters, he can find very few people like Emperor He who are willing to join forces with him. Most of them either look down on him because he is too young or are jealous of him. Emperor He's attitude was very low, not arrogant, but asking for Emperor Zi's consent very frankly. Although it is not recommended, at this time, Emperor Yu still puts himself first. He nodded and said, seventh brother, in this case, let's join the same path and gather our other brothers and sisters. Hearing what Emperor Yu said, Emperor He smiled. He patted Emperor Zi on the shoulder and said, you are indeed my brother. It is not unreasonable for my father to treat you differently. Of course, Xuanhuang it's fair competition, and when we get it and divide it internally, I won't let you. At that time, everyone will rely on their own abilities. Emperor Yu also laughed. Of course, this was a more hearty laugh. But in this environment, I can still smell some competition. The 10 of them, plus the 7 from Wu Yu's side, were already quite a large team. After deciding to rendezvous, Emperor Yu and Emperor He walked forward while chatting about what happened after they entered. Only then did Emperor He know that Emperor Yu and the others had gone to the ancient emperor's Dao palace, but they heard that the ancient emperor's Dao palace had no influence on him. It had no effect, but he believed it. After all, Emperor Yu's sons had been to that place. Actually, I was on the 6th level of the Soul Tower before. Do you know why I came down to the 5th level? He asked mysteriously. Of course Emperor Kairu didn't know, so he shook his head. According to logic, it is said that the higher you go up, the higher the probability of the flame golden pearl appearing. But even in the first level of the Soul Tower, it is still possible. This time I heard that in just 3 days the flame golden pearl appeared in the 5th level of the Soul Tower before. Many people saw it, but no one grabbed it, Daisa said. Appeared, Emperor Zi's eyes lit up and he asked, what is the specific situation? Daisa shook his head and said, there were no people from the Yanhuang tribe nearby at that time, so I don't know the specific situation. It's just that when the news came out, it seemed to be on the body of a god of all things. It is said that the previous few times it appeared, it was also in the body of all things gods, so now we are looking for the gods of all things everywhere. Wu Yu remembered that the flaming gold beads he had seen with his own eyes before were also on the bodies of all gods. This does make some sense. What kind of gods are there on the 5th level of the Soul Tower? Asked the Emperor. Now that they are united, information should be shared. Emperor Kairu originally wanted to find someone to understand the current situation. When the two emperors were talking, other people didn't interrupt very much. The palace masters and army commanders around Emperor He are all old foxes who have practiced Taoism for more than 400 years, and they are all very profound. The emperor's concubine and Emperor He made Suyeji look more dignified. Especially Suyeji, who is delicate and charming, with flaming red lips. She occasionally wants to tease Wu Yu, but Nanshan Wanjiao takes over and is ogling her. Hidazi quickly responded, I know of 2 types, both of which are composed of a kind of lava stone. The outside of the body is rock, and the inside looks like a volcano is hidden. One of them is more common, for example, the giant lava dog has a combat power equivalent to the 4th level of the Dao realm. It is very large in number and can crawl out at any time. The other type has the same composition, but its body is at least 10 times that of the giant lava dog. It is so big that its combat power is close to the level of the 6th level. We call it a giant lava lion. It is rare and similar to the 1st level scorpion. But we estimate that if the flame gold pearl is possible on the body of all gods. If so, it's probably on the giant lava lion, so we mainly look for the giant lava lion everywhere. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Compared to Wu Yu and others, this group of people at least have a purposeful search and only need to keep an eye on the gods of all things. 3 days have passed. Is it possible that the flame golden pearl is still at the 5th level? Emperor Yu was a little doubtful. Daisa smiled helplessly and said, who can say for sure? After all, the touch of the flame golden pearl has always been elusive. Anyway, I didn't see it going up or down. It should be in the 5th level, at least. The possibility is higher than other places, otherwise we would like to rush to the 7th level to take a look. With their strength, it should be a bit difficult to reach the 7th level of the Soul Tower. Now that they are united, Wu Yu no longer has to keep an eye on the safety of Emperor Yu. He asked Nanshan Wanjiao to pay attention, and then he ran around the advancing team. His piercing eyes could see further, and where there was something. He could still see all the gods clearly. Just after walking about 20 miles, there is an abyss in front of us. Standing on a high place and looking down, there is a huge river of magma in the abyss. The magma is rolling and flowing with great momentum. The width of the river is more than 30 miles, and there is a thick layer of lava on it. The black smoke obscures the view. People who cannot see clearly may think that there is a sea of magma below. Wu Yu glanced at it with his fiery eyes. He felt that there was some life activity in the river. The world under the 9 suns was too hot, and the magma below was boiling with huge bubbles. This often means that something exists below. A river of magma? This is a place where a large number of gods of all things are likely to appear. It was obviously the first time for Emperor He to see this river. A group of them stood on top of the valley. Among them, Emperor He and 4 other people were injured due to the unable to withstand the scorching heat of these 9 suns. Wu Yu protected him in the 7-star guardian array. Go down. Naturally, the team was led by Emperor He. A group of more than 10 people quickly descended on the river. The river often stirred up huge waves of lava dozens of feet high, like a giant hand of a devil waving in. It was very terrifying. There's movement. As soon as they came down, Emperor He was alert, and Wu Yu moved very quickly. He asked Nanshan Wanjiao to lead Emperor Zi and others up a distance. Yezixi was also helping to watch. There are so many people now, so there is no need. They took action. If the flame golden pearl really appeared, it would actually be more convenient for Wu Yu to snatch it by himself. Because grabbing the fire golden bead may not be useful if there are many people. This is also where Wu Yu is unwilling to join forces with Emperor He. He is worried that Emperor Yu will fall into their control. If that is the case, even if he snatches the flame golden pearl, it will be troublesome. But Emperor Yu trusted Emperor He more. Therefore, Wu Yu now has one hand on Emperor Yu's body. His dream firefly has changed the least now and is hidden under Emperor Zi's clothes. If there is any trouble, Firefly will definitely be able to handle it. Even if Emperor He wants to capture the Firefly, it won't matter. Easy. As soon as He Daiza was placed in a safe position, the movement below suddenly became louder. The river suddenly seemed to explode, and countless magma rose into the sky. At the same time, Wu Yu also saw the lava described by He Daiza. Giant dog. More than a dozen of them rushed out in a short period of time, and there was huge movement below. Apparently there were many giant lava dogs hiding below. The giant lava dogs are quite huge. Even if Wu Yu uses the magic of heaven and earth to change to the maximum, they will probably be able to swallow Wu Yu in one bite. Their bodies are made of materials that have been burned red by the magma, like red-hot iron. Stone, but this kind of stone did not melt because of this, but was extremely hard and hot, showing the toughness of its body. Under the red-hot stone, it was like a volcano was buried, with raging anger inside, so when this giant lava dog roared when it comes, it can spew out magma like a torrent, burning everything. This kind of magma, Emperor He and the others have to dodge. Even if Wu Yu has an indestructible body, he will be injured if he is burned. However, just a dozen giant lava dogs are obviously not enough to kill Emperor He and his group. For the perfect anti-theft chapter, please use the search engine to search for the keywords cloud and lie and ge, and you can read various novels. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1092. In front of this giant lava dog, Hidazi and his group were as small as ants. However, ascetics of their age are at their peak, having a lot of time to master Taoist magic to the highest level, and possessing huge lethality. Every palace lord, minister, and city lord has experienced hundreds of battles, not to mention Yuan, the commander of the Yellow Dragon Legion. Of course, the master of Qiun Mansion, Qi Tianyan, is also quite powerful. They are no worse than Zhang Wenyu, Zhang Wuzhu, and the others. He Daiza basically didn't take any action, and the dozens of giant lava dogs were divided up. While they were killing the gods of all things, they were also looking carefully to see if there were any flame gold beads on them. Wu Yu did not take action. After all, he thought that there should be a lot of giant lava dogs in the river. However, they were probably aware of the strength of this group of people, so they did not dare to charge forward. It was conservatively estimated that there were about 20 of them. The gods of all things are actually like wild beasts. They generally have relatively low intelligence and possess some wildness and survival instincts. Of course, their magic lies in the fact that they are born from heaven and earth, without father or mother. The battle was fierce above, and the giant beasts rolled below. When the bodies of the giant lava dogs fell down, the movement below them became even greater, and the magma river became more chaotic. However, no giant lava dogs rushed out again, and only some probes were seen watching. In order to search for the flame gold beads, Emperor He of course wanted to lure them out one by one, and even went into the magma river to fight. Wu Yu took a look and felt that Emperor He's team was indeed terrifying. They were just like chopping melons and vegetables against the giant lava dog. They were very skilled in using various Taoist magical powers and spiritual tools. Tianling Dao weapon. In fact, Wu Yu also saw that there were actually two people in their team using Tianling Taoist tools. This does not include Emperor He, because Emperor He did not take action. That day's spiritual artifact attracted Wu Yu's attention. There is no doubt that those who possess the heavenly spirit Taoist artifact are naturally the two most noble among Emperor He's sons, the two women, the Emperor's concubine Huamuchen and Emperor He's envoy Suyeji. Among them, Huamuchen from the Brahma flower clan from the Brahma flower fairyland can only be described as beautiful as a flower fairy. In her Taoist magical power, the sky is full of wonderful flowers flying, and she seems to be dancing among the flowers. Her battle has no killing intent at all, it is like a beautiful dance. She is bathing in the sea of flowers she created, and the petals all over the sky are wonderful killing weapons. The Tianling Taoist weapon in her hand is a long sword. The long sword is covered with petals and surrounded by prosperity like a dream. The red blade can be vaguely seen, but it is not blood red, but as red as a peony. It is majestic and even better than Wu Yu's Beiming Emperor, but of course it seems to be worse than the Emperor's seal. In addition, the Tianling Taoist tool in Suyeji's hand was also a sword, but it looked a bit like a ghost monastic tool. It was a green longsword with a bloodline in the center of the blade. Suyeji the battle is not as graceful as that of the Emperor's concubine, but simple and direct. The green longsword has strong lethality and is also quite strange. It is somewhat similar to the Xueji sword, but it is obviously much stronger than the Xueji sword. Even the giant lava dog will be split in half instantly under this long sword. What kind of heavenly spirit Taoist tools are these two? Wu Yu asked Emperor Yu. Both of these? They are indeed Tianling Taoist tools. Among them, the one used by the Emperor's concubine is the 100 Flowers Holy Sword, which is the Brahma flower fairy of the Brahma flower fairyland. In view of the fact that the Emperor's concubine has contributed to the friendship between the Brahma flower wonderland and the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. As for the magic circle awarded to her, she has 570,000. Although it is not as good as the Emperor's seal, as long as it is a Tianling Taoist weapon, it is definitely much more powerful than the Shangling Taoist weapon. To be honest, I have not seen her much. It's time to take action, Emperor Yu said. Then he looked at Suyeji and said, as for Suyeji's, it should be the blue blood holy sword. This is what my seventh brother found in the ruins of an ancestor in the sea. It is one of the important treasures he got. It is said that it is a heavenly spirit Taoist weapon forged by an ancient monk named Jade Blood Venerable. That monk probably later became an immortal. This Jade Blood holy sword appears relatively rarely, but it is said that there are 560,000 magic circles, which is quite good. The Holy Sword of 100 Flowers and the Holy Sword of Blue Blood. Wu Yu watched their battle for a few times, and it was indeed very good. The strength of the Emperor's concubine Huamuchen should be about the same as Yuan, but with the 100 Flowers Holy Sword, Yuan would not be able to fight in the long run. Her opponent, this is the benefit of the Tianling Taoist weapon. Seeing Wu Yu's interest, Emperor Yu continued, their heavenly spirit Dao weapons are actually relatively ordinary. They are far inferior to the Emperor's seal of the 790,000 magic circle. They really have to be considered top-notch heavenly spirits. In fact, besides the Imperial seal, there is another more powerful Taoist weapon here. And coincidentally, it is also a Tianling Taoist weapon that was forged by my father, and was also a gift from him. Wu Yu is not participating in the battle now. Almost all the giant lava dogs that rushed up just now have been killed. No flame gold beads have appeared for the time being. His eyes turned to Emperor He, who was preparing to go down above the magma river, and said, "Is it the heavenly spirit Taoist weapon of Emperor He?" Of course it belongs to him. Speaking of which, it has a lot to do with the Emperor's seal. This is a heavenly spirit Taoist weapon forged by my father at the same time. At that time, he found the two great weapon spirits of Penglong and Turtle Dragon. And also obtained another ancient weapon spirit, and there were three of them. It means that it is said that he obtained 5 very ancient and nearly broken Tianling Dao weapons at that time, and then he took out the weapon spirits and used them with new ones. The materials were reforged and finally turned into 2 heavenly spiritual weapons. One was the Emperor's seal, and the other was my 7 divine weapons. There were 3 identical weapon spirits in them. The number of magic arrays totaled 830,000. 30,000 more than the Emperor's seal. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. 5 ancient and broken Tianling Taoist tools were integrated into 2 types of Tianling Taoist tools using new materials and new formations. The power was unintentionally stronger. Wu Yu now owns the Imperial Seal, so he naturally knows the power of the Imperial Seal. Then these 2 heavenly spirit Dao tools were awarded to the 2 children, one was the 9th Emperor's daughter and the other was the 7th Emperor's son. Of course, Emperor He's son is different from his daughter-in-law. He has a good relationship with Emperor Yu. Wu Yu doesn't covet his heavenly spirit Dao artifact, and it may not be suitable for him, but he is still very interested and knows about this heavenly spirit Dao artifact. How powerful is the weapon? After all, there are 830,000 magic circles. What 3 kinds of weapon spirits are there? After seeing the power of Penglong and Turtle Dragon, Wu Yu was a little curious. As soon as he said this, the magma river suddenly changed dramatically. A terrifying roaring sound came from the depths of the river. It was countless times more violent than the roar of the giant lava dog. For a time, the magma river was at least 10 times stronger. Riot. Seeing this, the emperor said, "You will see it soon." Wu Yu naturally knew that there might be more powerful gods of all things appearing, and Emperor He would definitely take action. He asked Emperor Yu and others to go higher up to ensure safety, and the Emperor's seal also appeared in his hand, ready to fight. When he took out the imperial seal, Emperor He looked back at him and said with a smile, "Give me the giant lava lion, and give the others to you. Let's see who can solve the battle first." To compare? Wu Yu became interested, and he quickly transformed into the largest golden immortal ape with the power of heaven and earth, and his physical body reached the sky. In his hand, the imperial seal in the form of Penglong's dragon sword also turned into a supergiant sword at least 3 feet long, like a real dragon held in Wu Yu's hand. Boom! Sure enough, at this time, a change occurred. When Emperor He and Wu Yu made an agreement, the emperor's concubines and others quickly retreated to Emperor Yu and his companions, leaving only Wu Yu and Emperor He. Then almost at the same time, many people, all gods and giant beasts, rushed out of the magma. Wu Yu glanced at them and saw a total of 25 giant lava dogs, a huge number. But among them, the most dazzling ones are the 2 giant lava lions. They are made of fiery red rocks and look like lions. They also have the domineering and majestic appearance of lions. 1 male and 1 female. The male lion is full of fiery power, while the female lion is more flexible. Vigorous, more like a cheetah, like a killer. Their size and power are more than 10 times that of the giant lava dogs, and Emperor He gave Wu Yu 25 opponents. This is fair. Wu Yu knew that if he had to deal with the 2 giant lava lions, it will also consume a certain amount of energy. His eyes quickly scanned the 2 giant lava lions and did not find any flame gold beads on them. If anything, he didn't bother to deal with the giant lava dog. Without the flame gold bead, Emperor He's heavenly spirit Taoist artifact became Wu Yu's motivation for fighting at this moment. Since the other party wanted to play with it, Wu Yu accompanied him to try it. After all, he had to give the other party a blow, otherwise the other party would still. Maybe he thought he was destined to be the emperor's son. At this moment, Wu Yu saw the Tianling Dao tool in Emperor He's hand. That's a golden halberd. As soon as it appeared, Wu Yu was shocked by the tyranny and vast power of this Tianling Taoist weapon. Taking a closer look, the long handle of the golden halberd was covered with golden scales. Wu Yu thought they were dragon scales at first, but they were not. At the top, the middle protrudes like a spear point, with two crescent-shaped blades on both sides. This is a typical one-stab, two-blade style halberd. It can stab, sweep, and chop. As for what the weapon spirit is, when the heavenly spirit Taoist artifact appeared, Wu Yu saw that behind Emperor Nahe, there were three dragon-like and beast-like flaming beasts. They were covered in gold and could crush the lion instantly in terms of dominance and majesty. That is the legendary fairy beast, Kailan, the king of beasts. And it is the hottest fire unicorn among them. This is the top-level fairy beast, as rare as the real phoenix fairy beast and divine dragon. This is a unicorn war halberd. The three-headed unicorn fairy beast is the weapon spirit. It is indeed more powerful, domineering and fierce than the combination of turtle dragon and rock dragon. The Emperor's seal is more about balance. Only then did Emperor Yu say, "This is my seventh brother's spiritual Taoist weapon. It has an ancient fire unicorn with three heads as its spirit. It was also named Dylan by my father." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1093. This Kirin war halberd is called Emperor. Just from the name, we know that it is a product of the same time as Wu Yu's current Emperor's seal. However, Wu Yu's strength has greatly improved because of the Emperor's seal, so he knows very well that the power of the Emperor with 830,000 magic arrays in the hands of the seventh disciple He Dizzy Eye is estimated to be only a millimeter away from his own body. The Emperor's seal even has the momentum to suppress the Emperor's seal. The three fire kirans are housed on the one stab and two blades of the war halberd, making the one stab and two blades have a terrifying pressure like the Emperor of Beasts, as if the three ancient fire kirans are sitting on it. Of course, Wu Yu saw the appearance of the Kirin war halberd for just a moment. Then, He Dizzy Eye was already waving the Emperor to kill the two lava giant lions. Wu Yu didn't have any intention to compare with He Dizzy in this regard. This was not a critical battlefield, and it didn't matter who won or lost, but he couldn't perform too badly, otherwise he wouldn't have the purpose of shocking the opponent. Therefore, before the battle between He Dizzy and the lava giant lion, Wu Yu also took action. His action was simple and rough, because the lava giant dog he faced was not a threat to him. His Emperor's seal, without using the three major offensive and defensive magic arrays, could cause absolute lethality to the lava giant dog just by relying on the huge force of his flesh, the changes of the law of heaven and earth, plus the sharpness of the Emperor's seal and some small magic arrays. In addition, Wu Yu's body was also huge after the law of heaven and earth, so he almost killed one with one sword, just like a tiger rushing into a flock of sheep. The fierce gods of all things collapsed in front of Wu Yu in an instant. To be honest, He Dizzy proposed the comparison to show Wu Yu's strength first. This was a test. While Wu Yu was fighting, he was actually observing the He Emperor. The He Emperor wielding the Kailan war halberd was very majestic, like a god. He was the most emperor-like among all the emperors Wu Yu had seen. His opponents were two giant lava lions, one male and one female, much stronger than Wu Yu's opponents. The lava torrents they spewed out were 10 times that of the lava dogs. In a short period of time, they could create a huge lava ocean, trying to swallow Wu Yu and his team into the world they controlled. The huge lava river below was under their control and was also sweeping towards the sky. At this time, the He Emperor had been swallowed up in the magma, but Wu Yu's fiery eyes could still see his situation clearly. When Wu Yu directly killed more than 20 lava dogs and only half of them were left, The He Emperor seemed to use the attack array on the Emperor's arrival to directly kill the two gods of all things. It is estimated that he was also sure that the two gods of all things did not have the Xuanhuan gold pearl on their bodies. Of course, if the flame gold pearl appeared so easily, it would have been snatched away long ago. Wu Yu relied on his instinctive reaction to quickly kill the remaining lava giant dogs. His magnificent physical strength was simply the nemesis of this all-encompassing god. It is estimated that the Kirin 3 kills sky-splitting formation will be used, although Le Daiza could not see clearly, he seemed to have guessed it. He did know a lot about this emperor's arrival and probably envied it. Wu Yu looked closely and saw that He Daiza had indeed activated the Kirin War Halberd's magic formation. He controlled the huge Kirin War Halberd with both hands, like a peerless war god, shining brightly. At this time, the Kirin's scales shone with light and rolled, as if the giant beast had awakened. The scales were where hundreds of thousands of magic formations were drawn. Almost every dragon scale had exquisite patterns, like a work of art, and countless magic formations were hidden in the patterns. At this time, under He Daiza's purple palace energy, it was running and shining brightly. The Kirin triple kill sky-splitting formation. As Wu Yu expected, the He Emperor suddenly rushed out, and the Emperor in his hand stabbed through the center, piercing out. In front of him was the lioness, who was agile and swift, and could cause a lot of trouble, so He Emperor first targeted it. With that stab, the first flaming Kirin rushed out from the Emperor. Don't look at it as a Kirin, it is actually the energy generated by the operation of the Heavenly Spirit Dao artifact formation. Just like Wu Yu's golden pen covering the Sky Emperor Dragon Sword. With one stab, the female lion couldn't dodge at all. He Daiza entered from its chest and came out from its tail. At the moment of coming out, the male lion was right in front of her. At this time, his magic circle was still not over. At this moment, he suddenly swept across, and the second Kylin rushed out, swept from the side, and hit the lava giant lion. Suddenly, 1,000 feet of brilliance burst out. The majestic power of the Facian Lingdao weapon burst out from the lava giant lion. In just a moment, the lava giant lion, whether it was a male lion or a female lion, was blown into pieces, all hard rocks, and fell into the magma river. Obviously, his Kylin 3 kills sky-splitting formation has not been used yet. Since it is called 3 kills, there must be a last kill. Just now, he only stabbed and swept. For the last blow, Wu Yu should also follow up with a slash based on his posture just now. Just at this time, Wu Yu had just dealt with the last giant lava lion, and his speed was almost the same as the opponent. Of course, he did not use the same attack formation as He Daiza. But at this moment, Wu Yu finally saw the power of the Emperor's Lin. It is roughly estimated that the power that the Emperor's Lin can unleash in his hand should be stronger than the Emperor's seal. Wu Yu's body has been using it for a long time. Stick, I am a little uncomfortable using the Emperor's seal sword now. Haha, the Emperor's envoy is really powerful. At such a young age, his strength puts us to shame. It's really rare to see him in all eternity. I admire him. I admire him, Emperor. He finally put away the Emperor. Amidst the strong wind and waves, the golden robe rolls. He smiled heartily. I don't dare. Emperor, his battle prowess is incredible. This junior still has a lot to learn. Wu Yu said in a low voice. The storm in this magma river gradually subsided, and it seemed that there were no other gods left. Everyone gathered together. Since these gods of all things are willing to hide in this magma river, then we will follow this river upward. What do you think? He Daiza came up with an idea. In fact, he must have listened to him, so he was seeking the opinion of the Emperor. Emperor Zi quickly said, I also think it should be like this. The possibility of encountering the flame gold pearl is higher. Since no one had any objections, their team began to quickly move upstream along the magma river. On the way, Emperor Yu suddenly asked secretly, Wu Yu, do you have any ideas about the Emperor? After all, I feel that you still lack a heavenly spirit Taoist weapon, right? He knew that Wu Yu still had a clone that could swallow the sky. Wu Yu's expression remained unchanged and said, "The Emperor is overthinking it. The relationship between Emperor He and the Emperor is good, and he is not a daughter of the Emperor by marriage. I will not rob other people's treasures for no reason. Besides, I originally used a stick, and this halberd it's a little different, so it might not be easy to use." The Emperor said, "That's not necessarily the case. After all, the halberd has one more part than the stick, and the stick also has the same function. If you want to find a stick-type Tianling Taoist weapon, it will be harder than climbing to the sky. After all, there are not many people using this type of Taoist weapon, and there are not even many war halberds." Hearing what he meant, it seemed that he was still speaking for Wu Yu. Wu Yu didn't know if he was testing him or something, so he shook his head and said, "Don't be joking, Emperor He. Emperor He is your respected brother, not an enemy." "Emperor Z," I said, "that seems to be the case at the moment. In fact, I can't figure him out. But if there is a situation, it is that he is plotting against me. If that is the case, I will definitely not be polite. Of course, based on my understanding of him, this is unlikely. I am just more worried because I am in this ancient soul tower." It seemed that he was quite honest with Wu Yu. It can be seen that he is still somewhat conflicted about He Daizi, otherwise he would probably refuse directly and not join He Daizi. If that's the case, I will definitely protect the Emperor. But to be honest, the opponent is stronger than us, so we still have to act according to the situation. No problem. In this conversation, Emperor Yu was explaining that he and Wu Yu were definitely closer than between him and Emperor He. They were a front, and they also gave Wu Yu the right to act freely in emergencies. Of course, it could also be my overthinking. If this team joins another Yanhuang tribe and more people join forces, I won't have to worry." The Emperor murmured. Indeed, with more people, it can be seen that Emperor He's desire for unity exists, rather than being as direct as Emperor Yu. He just felt that Emperor Yu was favored by the ancient emperor, so he wanted to follow Emperor Yu. I think this is the only way it is possible for the flame golden pearl to appear. They were in a good atmosphere all the way, basically chatting and laughing. As expected, many gods of all things appeared in the lava river on the way, but they were all killed one by one, and the flame gold pearl was not seen for the time being. The flame golden pearl appeared 3 days ago. Where is it? Emperor He looked sad. In the past few days, many people have come down directly from the 6th and 7th levels of the Soul Tower. Just as he was talking about this, Emperor He suddenly received a communication talisman, and he opened it and took a look. His eyes suddenly shone, and he shouted excitedly, "The flame golden pearl has appeared, hurry up." The communication talisman explains the direction. He immediately greeted everyone, and now when he was competing for speed, he saw that Emperor Nahe had sacrificed a spiritual Taoist warship. It was resplendent, like a huge golden eagle, and it seemed to have nearly 500,000 magic arrays. The golden eagle battleship is said to be extremely fast. When He Daizi rolled up, everyone entered it, and then he accelerated directly. The golden eagle spread its wings, pierced the sky, and flew quickly. Indeed, it was faster than He Daizi's normal speed, and he also brought everyone with him. For the perfect anti-theft chapter, please use the search engine to search for the keywords cloud and lie and ge, and you can read various novels. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1094. On this Golden Eagle battleship, hundreds of miles away in an instant, Emperor He had a wide network of contacts. Someone reported the news at this time. In this regard, he was indeed much better than Emperor Yu. The flame gold bead should not be far from where it appeared. Hidaiza didn't say a word along the way, but the people in their team had already sacrificed their Taoist weapons and were ready to fight for it. Wu Yu then said to Nanshan Wanjiao, when the time comes, I will go by myself and be more flexible. You and Emperor Yu are on the outside. Don't get close to avoid being threatened. Nanshan Wanjiao said, no problem, it will be easier if you are alone. Because if Wu Yu could get it, he would definitely be able to escape instantly with a somersault cloud. If they were here, they would be threatened. Nanshan Wanjiao still believed in Wu Yu in this regard, and was not arrogant or complacent. Of course, if his ability could be used, it might also be of great help. Will Hidaiza and the others be the only competitors? Yezixi asked. If so, it would be subtle. This would be equivalent to Emperor He causing trouble for himself and finding a competitor. But Wu Yu shook his head and said, every time the flame golden pearl appears, there should be a lot of movement. Since someone informed Emperor He instead of him taking action first, it means there may be many people present. So he was ready to seize it in the melee. When Wu Yu just finished speaking. In fact, he had already heard the huge noise. This alone showed that the competitor this time was definitely not Hidaiza. We're here. Get ready to fight, there are a lot of people, there was some tension in Hidaiza's voice. At this time, he directly removed the Golden Eagle battleship. What's a bit funny is that when Yan Huangju appeared, he didn't care about alliances and the like. It would be a waste of time to say anything now. When he removed the Golden Eagle battleship in the first moment, 10 of them they formed a group and rushed towards the direction where the flame golden beads appeared. Wu Yu and the others also came out. According to Wu Yu's instructions and arrangements, they divided into 2 groups. Wu Yu was not particularly anxious, because he knew that the flame golden pearl could not be obtained by hurrying up, and there must be some method. At this first moment, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi, Emperor Zi and others just got off the Golden Eagle battleship and transferred to the Yingxian. The Yingxian was not as fast as the Golden Eagle battleship, but it had a little concealment ability. If you don't search carefully, it will be difficult for Emperor He to find them. When everyone was rushing towards the flame golden pearl, the Yingxian sank into the valley below and hid in the hidden mountain stream. At least the Emperor and the others were safe first, and then Nanshan Wanjiao could hide in the invisible mountain stream. In this state, he looked around. After all, Wu Yu actually left all the dream fireflies here. At this time, everyone was chasing the flame golden bead, and the Emperor and the others couldn't be safer. Wu Yu, on the other hand, is alone on the road to compete for the flame golden pearl. He is also very low-key. At this time, he first hid the imperial seal, and also used the magic of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest size. This is less than half a foot, like a clay sculpture of a small man, but it has to be said that the 3 changes with twice the speed coupled with the magic of divine movement, it is really terrifying. At this speed, in the entire ancient Soul Tower, there are probably few who can be faster than Wu Yu. Even the Emperor Yu's son may not be able to do it. Catch up with Wu Yu now. The first moment he came out, Wu Yu noticed the situation here. This is in a broken mountain. There are rivers of magma everywhere underneath, forming a network of rivers. The raging magma sweeps everywhere and keeps falling into the sky. In the river of magma, there are a large number of giant lava dogs lurking. Lava lion. Some even poked their heads out. They were indeed giant lava lions. They were hiding at the bottom of the river and kept spraying torrents of magma into the sky, causing the entire scene to be extremely chaotic. However, no one paid attention to these angry and roaring gods of all things, because everyone's attention was on the golden bead. Wu Yu took a cursory look at the people gathered in this area, and his head suddenly got big. Except for those who were sheltered, the people gathered here were at least the 5th level of the Dao realm and above. There were so many people now, they were all from the entire Yanfa world. There were many more top experts than Wu Yu had expected. With his strength, he didn't seem to have much of an advantage among such a crowd. I guess almost everyone from the 6th or 7th level of the Soul Tower came down after hearing the news. The people here now basically gather the experts from the entire ancient Soul Tower, and the experts from the entire ancient Soul Tower come from the entire world of Yanfu. Wu Yu glanced at him and found out, not to mention anything else, even Emperor Yu, who was at the 8th level of the Realm of Inquiry, was among the competing team. There must be many other forces at the 8th level of the Wendao realm. Wu Yu could see at a glance that there were many people who were evenly matched with Emperor Yu. There were Tianling Dao tools everywhere, making Wu Yu's imperial seal dim in the melee. The reason why so many people were attracted was firstly because the Yanhuangju had appeared 3 days ago, and secondly because everyone was well informed and their power was no worse than that of Emperor He. The third and most important thing is that the movement of this all things god carrying the flame golden pearl is really huge. Now the focus of all vision is a spirit of all things that is also made of lava, but this is a bird. Its body is not too big, much smaller than the lava giant dog, but the flames burning on its body are quite terrifying. The burning flames are hundreds of times larger than its body, so at first glance, Wu Yu thought it was a giant beast that was 10 times more powerful than the lava giant lion. Although its body is not big, its lethality is terrifying, and its speed is extremely fast, which is why people can't catch it. It's almost the same as Wu Yu now. The flames that are hundreds of times larger than its body swept everywhere, and people didn't dare to approach easily, which shows that this firebird is actually quite powerful, so that people like Emperor Yu can't do anything about it for the time being. So Wu Yu came here to have the opportunity to see the flame gold pearl. The flame gold pearl is at the center of the eyebrows of this firebird, very obvious. Everyone is staring. If you don't have a fire eye, you might think that the flames that soar into the sky are all part of the body of this firebird. With such a big movement, it is indeed difficult for others to not notice it as long as they are in the 5th level of the Soul Tower. Of course, there are too many strong men who are now using various means to chase and kill the firebird, and even fighting each other. The son of the He Emperor holding the Emperor's commitment entered the competition team, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. Wu Yu felt that if he rushed up, the situation would be similar, and he might be accidentally injured by those top strong men. Wu Yu saw that there were many strong men at the level of the Shadow King who could cause serious damage to Wu Yu. Not counting the Yanhuang clan, there were at least 20 people present. Obviously, there are still many who have not arrived yet. It was a big chaos. Only those who were above the 5th level of the Taoism were qualified to participate. But even if they were the 6th level of the Taoism, they would be like headless flies. They could not get close to the firebird at all, but were easily accidentally injured by other people's attacks. In this short period of time, Wu Yu saw many old men seriously injured and left the field. A group of strong men, who could not see clearly who they were, and there were many demons among them, all chasing the firebird. They were just here, and in a blink of an eye they were hundreds of miles away. We have to get ahead of this firebird. Wu Yu remembered the method he used when he was in the 1st level of the Soul Tower. He chased the entire huge and chaotic team, shuttled through various Taoist magic attack arrays, and approached the firebird. The flames on the firebird were extremely hot, and many strong men did not dare to get close, but Wu Yu's indestructible body approached, so nothing happened for the time being. Many people had the same idea as Wu Yu, and ran to the front to intercept the firebird, but the firebird was threatened. It was changing direction at any time, and no one knew where it was going. Basically, it would run wherever there was space to escape. Wu Yu looked up and saw that the one chasing him the most was Emperor Yu. There were too many people here, so Wu Yu was not worried that he could see him. The ancient cauldron in his hand had become extremely huge. He was driving the ancient cauldron to suppress the firebird and completely block it. It was about to succeed, but the firebird failed to rush out. However, someone else suddenly attacked the ancient cauldron, and many people attacked together, directly shaking the ancient cauldron out, causing Emperor Yu to suffer some trauma. Such things are very common, which is why no one has snatched the Yanhuang gold pearl so far. After all, competition among each other is the most difficult, especially for the Yanhuang clan. Once they get close, they will be forced away, so even Emperor Yu had to unite with his brothers and sisters, but this kind of union itself is not solid. Among those who stopped Emperor Yu just now were his brothers and sisters, or other strong men of the Yanhuang clan. Wu Yu had a headache. In such a chaotic situation, he could not think of any way to snatch it. Try your luck, I won't die anyway. He merged the somersault cloud into his body, ready to escape at any time, and then rushed into the chasing army at a high speed. In this chasing army, fighting is taking place at any time, and the prepared Taoist magic can hit others. Wu Yu can only rely on his rapid speed to dodge for the time being, but he can't avoid being injured by mistake. He was very fast and began to approach the Firebird, and even directly plunged into the sky-high flames beside the Firebird. It was really burning inside, and Wu Yu also felt the burning pain here. He didn't last long in this flame. And the closer you get to the Firebird, the more terrifying it is to spew out flames from its body. But at least at this time, seeing the Yanhuang gold pearl is considered to be relatively close. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for the keywords Yun and Lai and Ge. Various novels are available for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1095. Wu Yu's tiny body, hidden in the flame, still has certain advantages. Because others, firstly, are easily discovered, and secondly, no matter how powerful the purple palace energy is, it can't withstand such a scorching flame. This blazing flame is a bit like the fire of the 9 suns in the sky, hot, rough, and scorching. Ordinary cultivators will be burned to charcoal if they touch it. Only Wu Yu can rush into its body range. However, Wu Yu is still a little far away from it now. Fight. Other cultivators have entered the flame range of its body in a short time, but they will soon be thrown away or attacked by the Firebird. More people can't catch up with the Firebird. Fortunately, most of the Firebirds are also circling in place, so they didn't completely throw them off. Wu Yu endured the terrifying fire and drilled towards the body of the Firebird. Not many people noticed his tiny thing, but when he got close to the body of the Firebird, the burning heat was really terrible. Wu Yu knew that he couldn't hold on for too long, and he had to fight quickly. Go! He broke through the flames at a terrifying speed. In fact, he didn't hold the imperial seal in his hand at this time, but the imperial seal was very small now, like a toothpick, and it was difficult to be discovered. He was willing to risk it. The Firebird itself didn't find it. Wu Yu landed directly on it and moved forward on it. To be honest, his indestructible body was already burned red, but it was within the limit of endurance. He quickly moved to the head of the Firebird. Because the opponent's speed was too fast, Wu Yu had to nail it to it if he wanted to stay on it, otherwise it almost escaped several times. Yanjin Huangju. Wu Yu had seen it. The thing was embedded in the center of the Firebird's eyebrows, motionless. There were countless attacks bombarding in this direction. The Firebird either resisted with its body or blocked these attacks with its wings. Wu Yu was like an ant on the Firebird, quickly crawling to the center of the Firebird's brows. He was about to get close to the flame gold pearl, and he was extremely excited. When he was excited, he couldn't even feel the terrifying flame. Just as Wu Yu was about to pry out the flame gold pearl, the Firebird seemed to have discovered him. Suddenly, it raised its head and let out a sharp long howl, almost making Wu Yu's head explode. Then, in the next moment, every part of its body gushed out a surging torrent, all of which were extremely hot and angry. Under the sweep of this torrent, Wu Yu couldn't control his body at all and was directly blown away. His plan to sneak attack in the melee was completely declared a failure. Although he hadn't been discovered yet, he had at least been rushed out of the Firebird's flame range. In order to avoid being engulfed by the flames, and at this time he was almost at the limit of endurance, Wu Yu could only use the somersault cloud to jump out of the pursuit circle. When he jumped out, he found that the Firebird seemed to be affected by him. It did not circle around, but changed direction and rushed to the sky. At this time, the 9 suns were in the east of the sky. It was heading there. Everyone else chased it frantically. The Firebird got rid of them this time and flew into the sky first. The next thing to compete was pure speed. The speed of the Firebird itself was extraordinary. The fastest of the pursuers could only hang behind. The marginal figures of the 5th level of the realm of asking for the truth were quickly left behind. In a blink of an eye, nearly 1,000 pursuers were sent out in order of strength. The ones following closely behind the Firebird were the strongest group of people in the ancient Soul Tower. Is it going to the 9 suns? It's much hotter there than on its body. Wu Yu immediately chased after it. Just now, he thought he still had the possibility of success. Although he was fast, he missed the time of the initial pursuit, so it was unlikely that he could catch up in a short time, so he could only use the 2nd level of somersault cloud and jump towards the direction of the 9 suns, which was always right. When Wu Yu passed through the void and appeared in the sky in an instant, he felt the terrifying heat on his back. It was even hotter than the Firebird's body. His body was quickly scorched black. He looked back and saw that the 9 suns were behind him. Each of them looked to have a diameter of 10 feet. 9 huge fireballs were lying behind him. Ordinary people would not come to Wu Yu's position. Obviously, to reach the 6th level and pass through the black circle, they did not need to get so close to the 9 suns. But this position was good, because Wu Yu looked down and saw that the Firebird was coming towards the side. Obviously, it was sure that those people could not bear the temperature of the 9 suns, but it could. It can be seen that the higher Le Dizzy and the others went, the slower their speed would have to be. Wu Yu estimated that they could only reach their current position at most. If they went up further, they would probably be scorched. After the Firebird had distanced itself from them, it first hit Wu Yu. Wu Yu didn't care about that anymore. He instantly used the law of heaven and earth to change to the maximum. He held the imperial seal in his hand. When the Firebird rushed in front of him, he suddenly activated the magic circle. Golden pen covering the sky Emperor Dragon Sword. A sword swiftly killed, the sword energy soared into the sky, the golden rock covered the sky and the sun, and turned into countless sword energy pouring down, almost colliding with the Firebird at the same time. At this time, the Firebird had just discovered Wu Yu's existence, and it blocked Wu Yu's sword with its huge wings. Dang dang dang. Wu Yu found out helplessly that it made sense that the Firebird was not killed quickly when surrounded by so many strong men. Its body was quite terrifying, and its trajectory had at least the combat power of the 8th level of the realm of Taoism, which was considered to be extremely top-notch in the world of Yanfu. That was why Wu Yu's attack was completely ineffective. The opponent withstood the sword energy and rushed over, and spit out magma like the vast ocean from his mouth. At this time, Wu Yu could only use the somersault cloud again to escape from the opponent's attack range. He returned to the ground and looked up at the sky. In fact, many people saw him at that time, but they were powerless to stop Wu Yu. Fortunately, although Wu Yu was powerful, his attack was still ineffective. People's eyes were on the Xuanhuan gold pearl, so even if they were shocked at this time, they were too lazy to pay attention to Wu Yu who had left, but continued to chase. What Wu Yu saw was that the Firebird was running higher and higher. From the position on the ground, it was almost in the same place as the 9 suns. At such a high place, it was like a small dot next to the 9 suns. As for those who were chasing, some stopped along the way, sighed, and retreated in the face of difficulties. The difference between the top powerhouses and the ordinary powerhouses was that the top powerhouses stopped closer to the Firebird, but they did not gain anything. Even the current position of Emperor Yu and his men could only endure the scorching heat and watch the Firebird soaring freely under the 9 suns. But after all, the flame gold pearl could still be seen and clearly on the top of the Firebird, so even if no one could get the flame gold pearl for the time being, no one gave up. Everyone was looking for ways, and other people kept coming. Wu Yu saw that the situation had calmed down for the time being. Now it was estimated that there would be a stalemate, unless someone had a way to deal with the Firebird, or the Firebird had a problem and came down from there. Wu Yu could go up and try, but he estimated that he would be burned to charcoal at that position, and in fact, the ability of the Firebird was terrible. Wu Yu had just experienced that his attack could not break the defense of the Firebird. Wu Yu reported the situation to Emperor Li, telling him that he was seen by Emperor Yu, and asked them not to show up. The place where they were hiding just now was actually some distance away from here. Wu Yu went there first. He took a look and saw that Emperor Yu did not come to find him. He approached Emperor Li because he thought that the Yanhuang gold pearl would appear next to Emperor Li. Now that the Yanhuang gold pearl is in front of him, he should not think so much of Emperor Li. Wu Yu analyzed. In fact, the Firebird is at the 9 suns, so as long as you are in the 5th level of the Soul Tower, you can see it, so Wu Yu doesn't need to join in the fun and get too close to a large group of people, but he didn't expect to meet an acquaintance when he returned to Emperor Li. In a charred valley, a girl wearing an orange dress, with long hair like a waterfall, and full of holiness and breath, was wandering with her head down. Next to her was a demon man, looking at the sky fiercely. The girl was beautiful, noble, and of noble blood. Her every move was out of this world, like a fairy from heaven. This person was Nangang Wei, the Princess Huang 11 in the eyes of the world. Like Le Daizi and the others, she also hid. The demons of Nanyan Demon Continent all went to chase the Firebird, leaving behind a Demon King, the 8-eyed Bull Demon King, to protect her. Wu Yu had seen that Demon King in the ancient Demon Lake. At that time, he was no match for him, but not now. When he saw Nangang Wei, Wu Yu thought of the time when she woke up the rock turtle in the 2nd level of the Soul Tower and was harming him. He wrote down this account at that time. Now it happened that the flame gold pearl could not be divided in a short time, so this account was just right to settle. He suddenly fell into the deep valley. Nangang Wei and the 8-eyed Bull Demon King saw him at the first moment, but they were not as fast as Wu Yu. Wu Yu controlled the Emperor Seal in his hand, and without saying a word, he killed the 8-eyed Bull Demon King with a sword. The 8-eyed Bull Demon King suddenly became alert, but it was too late to attack. Wu Yu just used a simple move to force him away, leaving Nangang Wei in his control. "It's you," Nangang Wei was very surprised. She didn't see Wu Yu's appearance in the sky clearly just now, because the distance was a bit far. In her memory, she probably thought that Wu Yu couldn't come up as early as the 2nd level of the Soul Tower. Wu Yu was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. She was only at the Yuanshen realm. Wu Yu grabbed her arm with one hand and controlled her instantly. Then he drove the somersault cloud and left quickly. The 8-eyed Bull Demon King was not injured at this time, but with his ability, it would be harder than climbing to the sky to catch up with Wu Yu, who had the most terrifying speed. "You dare to hijack me," Nangang Wei was furious. Wu Yu smiled. "It's not the first time. Why are you excited?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1096. Coming from Nanyan Demon Continent, Wu Yu thought that he and her would not have any more encounters. But he did not expect that the pilgrimage of all nations would haunt her again. The key point is that Wu Yu did not want to have any conflicts with her. However, she was in the second level of the Soul Tower, relying on her strength in numbers, and did not take action openly, but secretly awakened the god of all things, the rock turtle, causing great trouble to Wu Yu and his team. As for the Xuanhuan gold pearl on the rock turtle, that was something she did not expect, and it was not her good intention. At that time, Wu Yu was angry and took note of this matter. Today, he suddenly saw that she was almost alone, and there was only this opportunity to teach her a lesson, and Wu Yu would certainly not miss it. Everyone in the world thought she was Princess Huangzi, but in Wu Yu's eyes, whether she remembered it or not, she was still Nangong Wei in essence. Wu Yu even knew what she looked like when she was a child, so he would naturally not be polite to her. The fifth level of the Soul Tower actually has a very complex terrain, with high mountains and deep ravines everywhere, and a scorched black. There are a lot of caves in the scorched earth, all over the land. Wu Yu just hid in it, and the panicked eight-eyed bull demon king had long lost his trace. Before hiding, he changed the emperor's seal in his hand into a turtle shield dragon boat. This Tianling Dao instrument was completely sealed, trapping him and Nangong Wei inside, thus blocking everything of Nangong Wei, making her cry to the sky and the earth for help. The turtle shield dragon boat drilled deep into the ground, which was slightly cooler than on the surface. In this darkness, Wu Yu did not control her. Nangong Wei could move freely, but she could not leave this closed small space. She seemed to be spoiled after becoming Princess Huangzi. She was very irritable at this time. She stared at Wu Yu with her big eyes, showing a very domineering majesty. She warned Wu Yu in a low voice, saying, "Wu Yu, you are so bold. You dared to kidnap me and trap me here. What do you want to do?" Her personality is always so fiery, hot and hot. Wu Yu crossed his arms. He would not let her scare him. The outside was now in a deadlock and no one could do anything. He was not in a hurry, but looked at the woman coldly. In his memory, it was all her appearance in Shushan. To be honest, although she is getting more and more beautiful now, it is difficult for Wu Yu to find the good feeling he had for her in his impression. Now, there are probably only contradictions and disputes. Beautiful memories and youthful love are always beautiful, but now they are still standing opposite each other, but they are no longer the same as before. Wu Yu. If you know what's good for you, let me go. Nangong Wei had a hot temper. She yelled at Wu Yu again, looking furious. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu still folded his arms. He looked at her motionlessly, and that look must have made her feel empty. In fact, Wu Yu just felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong, which made him feel a little conflicted. He felt that people needed to respect their own direct ideas. He just wanted to teach Nangong Wei a lesson now, and he didn't have any rational ideas. Don't know what's good for you. Nangong Wei saw that he didn't respond, and there was more resentment on her pretty face. She had been angry before, and Wu Yu thought it was cute, but now he just wanted to slap her again. However, she did take action and sacrificed several spiritual instruments. It was probably given to her by Huangzun, and then she activated the magic circle and killed Wu Yu in the narrow space of the turtle shield dragon ship. It is not easy to exert her full strength, but the power can be exerted. Basically, it can be equivalent to the lethality of the second level of the realm of Taoism. She has also made great progress, which is incredible. Huangzun must have spent a lot of effort on him. However, facing these attacks, Wu Yu only sneered. When Nangong Wei fought like crazy, he did not move at all. He completely resolved her attack with his hands. Nangong Wei killed with a sword, and Wu Yu grabbed her sword with his flesh and blood hands, and then put it into the floating life tower. Almost in the blink of an eye, all her spiritual instruments fell into Wu Yu's hands. In this battle, Wu Yu was swift, powerful, and thick-skinned. He used the fighting method of a warrior to defeat Nangong Wei's confidence. After the battle, Nangong Wei realized that in front of Wu Yu, she was as weak as a little white rabbit. Her face changed. She leaned back against the wall of the turtle shield dragon boat. She looked dazed and her eyes were filled with disbelief. She stared at Wu Yu and said, "How did you become so powerful? I remember you were not like this last time." She felt like she was facing a demon king. She just remembered that Wu Yu had easily defeated the eight-eyed bull demon king just now. She looked a little desperate, as if her heart was in great turmoil. Wu Yu approached her and said, "What's so strange about this? The last time I quickly left you behind, you didn't have this expression. Oh. You forgot that this was at the Xuanhuan Immortal Gate in Dongsheng Shenzhou." This time, Wu Yu left her far behind again, even though she had obtained the fortune and status that everyone envied. However, a beauty is a beauty. Even if she is panicked, unbelievable, or in pain, she looks so beautiful. The identity of the eternal phoenix really brings too much to her beauty. To be honest, after looking at her a few more times, Wu Yu couldn't bear to torment her. Dongsheng Shenzhou Nangang Wei took a deep breath. She sneered, as if she had calmed down from the shock. She slowly raised her head, looked at Wu Yu, and said, "I said, I am Princess Huang 11, not the Nangang Wei you are talking about. There is no relationship between you and me. If you mention Dongsheng Divine Continent again, believe it or not, I will destroy the entire Dongsheng Divine Continent." The last sentence was shouted, and she looked a little hysterical. However, Wu Yu was also offended. He shook his head and said, "This sentence is really disappointing. You used to be more willful, but you were also kind, but now, look what you look like. Forget it, anyway, I can't remember it either. You have another life. I am not qualified to make irresponsible remarks to you. Then live your life well. I am too talkative today. From now on, you will also forget about Dongsheng Shenzhou. Come on, I'm really afraid you'll disturb it." Wu Yu rarely gets angry, but when he faces her, he gets angry again and again. After all, he still had the idea in his heart that he wanted her to regain her past memories, and don't let Huang Zun lead her. But the key point is that Nangang Wei will not accept this favor at all. Now she only has disgust for Wu Yu. After listening, Nangang Wei sneered again and again and said, "It's already too late. Do you think I will forget if you say you have forgotten? Because you kidnapped me today, I really want to go to Dongsheng Shenzhou, so I will go to you." The Xuanhuan Immortal sect mentioned is said to be a desolate place in the world. The cultivators are very weak, but the souls can dominate. Then you just wait in this Yanhuang ancient kingdom and wait for me to send away the heads of the entire Xuanhuan Immortal section come to you. I want to see if there is really my father inside. Wu Yu squinted his eyes and looked at her with a cold gaze, and said, "Are you really so crazy? I don't need to make up such an identity for you out of thin air. If you do this, you will kill your father and your relatives, brothers and sisters with your own hands. If you regain your memory one day in the future, you will know what is the greatest pain in the world and what is the most regretful thing." Nangang Wei laughed heartily and said, "You are just scared, right? There are many of your relatives and friends there, right? The one who killed them is you. Who made you think that I am a 3-year-old child and think that I am easy to coax? You should. Who are you? What qualifications do you have to teach me a lesson? I don't know what your purpose is now, but I tell you, if you don't let me go, I will make you regret it. No, you have already angered me, even if you let me go. If you kill me, I will make you regret it. Wu Yu, I want you to know that I am not someone you can mess with." When it came to the last sentence, she was obviously stuck, and all the last words were a lot weaker. But even so, Wu Yu was furious. To be honest, if it wasn't someone he really cared about, he wouldn't be so angry. Now Nangang Wei seems to be a rebellious bastard, arrogant, domineering, arrogant and overbearing, even if no matter how beautiful this appearance is, it is still presumptuous and ugly. Bang! Wu Yu grabbed her jade neck with one hand and used some force to make her hit the ship wall hard. I'm afraid her body was a little broken. With Wu Yu's current physical strength, in this narrow space, when he held her down, she really couldn't move. At this time, the distance between the two faces was only a slap. Wu Yu's palm was still very strong, and Nangang Wei's face turned pale. Do you believe that I will break your neck right now? The anger was like exploding in the chest, and it was rising crazily. If Wu Yu hadn't tried his best to control it, he might have really sent her to the west. Nangang Wei looked pale and out of breath, but she was still not weak at all. She was a little hysterical and said, "Twisted, if you dare, kill me. See if my mother won't let you be cut into pieces. I won't kill you, destroy everything around you, and all the beasts in Dongsheng Shenzhou will never be reincarnated." After saying this, Wu Yu had already used his strength to shut her up. Perhaps the ferocious murderous intention at this time made Nangang Wei realize that he might really kill someone. So she shut up and just looked at Wu Yu fiercely. Wu Yu had thoughts of killing. In the end, he didn't take action, not because of the threat she said, but because Wu Yu couldn't kill her. When we first separated, there was a period of time when I ignored her, even hated and disgusted her, and enjoyed the feeling of leaving her behind. Now that I am older and time has passed, it is difficult to forget those first years. Before killing her, how could she forget that it was snowing heavily that day, and she shyly gave herself the Zhufang demonic suppressing pillar with her hands behind her back. For the perfect anti-theft chapter, please use the search engine to search for the keywords cloud and lie and ge, and you can read various novels. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1097. Now, he was filled with anger, resentment, irritability, and disappointment. Wu Yu rarely lost control of his emotions like this. Nangang Wei was also very angry and irritable. Like a ball of fire, of course Wu Yu was another bigger ball of fire. At this time, it was just two balls of fire colliding fiercely, without any intention of blending. When he couldn't kill her, Wu Yu breathed heavily and stared at her. The murderous aura in his eyes was sometimes high and sometimes low, like a wave. And Nangang Wei was pressed into the corner of the ship wall by him, unable to move. Her eyes were sharp and stubborn, the two pairs of eyes were only a fist away, and their breathing was clearly audible. They collided, confronted, and suppressed each other. Wu Yu could take the advantage, but she was not bad either, tit for tat. When the emotions reached the extreme, Nangang Wei also struggled to resist. She was mobilizing the Purple Palace energy to break free from Wu Yu's control, but Wu Yu's hands were like mountains pressing down on her, and his strong body also pushed up, squeezing her against the wall of the ship. She couldn't move even if she wanted to struggle. It was good enough that she was not crushed. Maybe at this time, it was considered skin-to-skin contact. The fragrance on her body was so close that Wu Yu was at his most angry and wanted to kill her the most, but he was slowly changing and tended to calm down. But at this time, he was still a powder keg that could be ignited at any time. Nangang Wei gritted her teeth, raised her head, and looked at him proudly. She didn't seem to be afraid of death at all, as if she was sure that Wu Yu would never dare to kill her. "Why are you getting so close? If you want to take advantage of me, just say it directly, don't use the excuse of wanting to kill me." Coward Nangang Wei was pressed to the point of being unable to breathe, and her face was still ashen. Maybe she saw that Wu Yu's murderous intention had decreased a little, and she felt more confident. As for why she said this, maybe she herself didn't know. There are always some subtle feelings between men and women. Maybe at this moment, she suddenly felt the murderous conflict between the two of them. When it broke out to the extreme, everything changed. Hearing this, Wu Yu's anger was ignited again. Nangang Wei seemed to be fighting with him. The conflict escalated step by step. At this point, when Wu Yu heard her sarcasm, he sneered. His eyes were still full of oppression. He said word by word, "Take advantage of you? Is it okay to be too confident? Your identity is different now, what about Princess Huangzi? But, do I have to be pleasing to my eyes?" Nangongwei also smiled and said, "If this is the case, don't lie on me, okay?" She was talking, and her body was twisting, trying to struggle out of Wu Yu's control. Wu Yu subconsciously pressed it tighter with this twist, and it actually fit more tightly. Often, dry wood and raging fire will drive people crazy when it is inexplicable. It would be fine if she didn't provoke or twist. She had a good figure. This twist actually aroused Wu Yu's anger. He didn't think about it in this way. Now when he looked down, he saw the mountains and ridges with some red marks of struggle, which looked like the most beautiful scenery in the world. It was also a shock to Wu Yu. Although Wu Yu had seen it in the heavenly demon emperor's mansion, it was fake after all, and it was not as strong as the feeling of struggling and controlling at this moment. Although Nangongwei said it directly just now, when the two of them really produced some fierce fire in the confrontation, she was completely confused. Her whole body was extremely hot. The more angry she was and the more she struggled, the more fiercely the fire burned in this friction. She was not a child anymore, so she naturally knew what that hot and hard thing was. She had never thought about it this way, but it was this that made her feel like melting. It is said that all gods have offspring. As long as they are not gods of all things, the inheritance of life is always an iron rule that everyone, even gods, cannot escape. Therefore, gods have 7 emotions and 6 desires, let alone mortals. Ah, the wonderful time has come. Let's conquer this little girl in one go. At this moment, Wu Yu suddenly heard a voice that was even more excited than his own. He was frightened and quickly let go of Nangongwei and stepped back. At this time, his mood was really up and down. It was Ming Long who spoke. She was really excited, as if she was about to watch a big show. She was so excited that her whole body was shaking and her voice was trembling. I really don't know why she is so keen on watching these gossips. Oh my God. Did I interrupt you? I really deserve to die. I would have kept silent if I had known. Lao Ming Long saw that it ended like this. He was so angry that he beat his chest and stamped his feet, and almost killed himself. Thank you. Wu Yu's mood quickly calmed down. To be honest, he was a little scared now, so he still thanked Ming Long. Now when the heat subsided, he looked at Nangongwei again, and he must be very clear in his heart. He knew that if he continued today, he would have done something wrong. The relationship between him and Nangongwei was no longer the same as before, and she had lost her memory. It was impossible for the two of them to become Taoist partners in this life, let alone double cultivation. If he didn't stop at this moment, it could only be said that his relationship with her would be extremely chaotic in the future. At that time, he would definitely not be able to become a real Taoist partner with her. After all, she was Princess Huangzi, and it was absolutely impossible. Then, he would also lose Lupin. Lupin came all the way here to care about him. If Wu Yu failed her feelings here, he would hate himself, and Lupin would never be with him again. Sometimes, lust is really an evil fire that can make people lose their reason. He was a little scared. If it weren't for Ming Long, maybe he would be sorry for Nangongwei, and then sorry for Luo Bin. Maybe that would also be a blow to his own path. The key is that Ming Long was too excited. She didn't mean to stop him at all. Her way was different from Wu Yu's. She seemed to wish Wu Yu could build a huge harem like the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Now, in this turtle shield dragon boat, except for the breathing of the two people, it is like an ice cave. Wu Yu took a deep breath. After all, he had reached his right path on the road of making mistakes, so he could only be afraid. However, the situation just now was not intentional by him, but he and the person opposite him really had 1,000 threads and a tangled relationship. At that moment, all the memories rushed up. All the memories of Xuanhuan were in his mind. Now Wu Yu had forgotten the name of the man who was killed by Nangang Wei. At this time, her long skirt was a little messy, her pretty face was rosy, and her eyes were ever-changing. I really couldn't figure out why she had such a mixed feeling. Wu Yu couldn't tell what she meant. Disappointment. Fortunately. Fear. Or disgust. Just watching, at least a quarter of an hour has passed in the blink of an eye. What should be calmed down and settled has been done. Wu Yu also woke up completely, and so did she. At this time, she leaned against the wall of the boat, barely standing, looking at the ground without saying a word. Let me go. I just said something in anger. I don't have time to go to Dongsheng Shenzhou. Let me go. Nangang Wei's voice was a little hoarse, with a little crying tone, and her speech was not very natural. Okay, Wu Yu wanted her to leave, but he still thought that he had to discuss the matter of Dongsheng Shenzhou with her, but he didn't expect her to admit that she said something in anger. He seemed to be escaping, and finally had a gap. He hurriedly opened the turtle shield dragon boat, but Nangang Wei herself couldn't stay in the scorching sun of the 9th sun in the 5th level of the Soul Tower. Wu Yu protected her and rushed to the sky. As soon as he came out, he saw that there were many demons in the surrounding area, all of which were from Nanyan Ye's Hu. At this time, they were frantically looking for Nangang Wei. Princess. Wu Yu, you are looking for death. For a moment, Wu Yu was exposed to their sight. At the same time, a group of demons from Nanyan Demon Continent rushed over. Wu Yu was about to return Nangang Wei to them, so he quickly threw Nangang Wei to them. Without thinking too much, he directly used the 2nd level of the somersault cloud and jumped out of their encirclement. In this ancient soul tower, as long as Wu Yu was alone, no one could catch him. After coming out from another place, Wu Yu was exposed to the sun at this time. Nangang Wei was also returned to them, but he was still a little confused. Come on, don't think too much, continue to be your innocent boy, you are fine, why worry so much? It's really stupid, you don't want the little beauty in front of you, many years later, you will definitely regret it. If I ask you, you have to be like the ancient Emperor Yanhuang to be the winner in life, Minglong chirped again. After she said that, Wu Yu also felt that he should skip this matter. This was not Wu Yu's plan. He just wanted to teach her a lesson at the beginning. But now, the lesson has been given. Thinking of Nangang Wei, he still felt a little strange. At this time, he touched the phoenix pattern on his neck again and found that the pattern was slightly hot. He didn't know if it was an illusion. This mark is engraved here. As long as it is not removed, I am afraid that I will never forget her in my life. Wu Yu was a little helpless. He put this matter aside first and looked up at the sky. At this time, there were thousands of people surrounding the 9 suns. It can be seen that the firebird was still hovering around the 9 suns and did not dare to leave there. The top masters, who were closest to the firebird, seemed to be trying various ways at this time to pull the firebird out from there, or to have enough resistance to get to the position of the firebird. But at present, they have no more effective methods. Even if they set up a magic circle, it may take a long time. Wu Yu first went to Le Diza. It just got out that someone saw you. I heard them discussing it, and finally everyone knew that we had entered the ancient Emperor Dao Palace and our strength had greatly improved. Now I guess there are many people who are very afraid of us. Le Diza finally waited for him to come and breathe a sigh of relief, otherwise he would have felt quite insecure. What are your plans next? Le Diza asked. Wu Yu looked at the sky and said, plan, find a way to get up. Perfect anti-theft chapter, please use the search engine to search for the keywords Yun and Lai and Ge, all kinds of novels are available for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1098. Diamond Suit. Now almost all the strong men in the ancient Soul Tower are gathered under these 9 suns. They have been trying. Wu Yu and Nangong Wei have been entangled for a while, but he didn't expect that the fire bird, the god of all things, is still flying near the 9 suns. There is no way. Under the 9 suns, there are dense crowds of people, all of whom are above the 5th level of the realm of Taoism. The firebird was chased and embarrassed just now. If it wasn't fast enough, it would have been torn into pieces long ago. If there were many people below now, it would definitely not want to come down. The flame gold pearl, the dream of all the cultivators who came in, is still at the position between its eyebrows. Wu Yu looked down and found that both the cultivators and the demons were anxious. They searched everywhere in this ancient soul tower just for the flame gold pearl, and the final goal was right in front of them. Everyone thought that they could win the treasure, become famous all over the world, and at the same time obtain all the treasures of the pilgrimage of all nations. That is simply, fame and fortune. Not to mention the emperor's sons and daughters, this is something that can change their lives and decide whether they will exist like the ancient emperor in the future, or disappear into ashes. Any emperor's son or daughter will be restless because of this. Even Emperor Yu's desire for the Yanhuang gold pearl is absolutely beyond imagination. This scene is like a group of hungry wolves that have been hungry for more than 10 days, guarding next to a sheep. If there was not a big fireball next to the sheep, they would have rushed up long ago. After hearing Wu Yu's preparation, Emperor Yu's eyes lit up. He was also anxious, so he hoped that Wu Yu could go up, so that there would be hope of competing. After all, it seems that the strongest people of Emperor Yu still have a lot of opportunities through continuous attempts. Maybe if this continues, someone will get the Yanhuang gold pearl soon, and then the most important thing in Emperor Yu's life will be completely failed. How can he not be anxious? Even if Wu Yu feels there is no hope, he may want Wu Yu to go up and try. Wu Yu's advantage is his indestructible body, which can withstand the 9 suns. Wu Yu also knew that this might be one of his good opportunities, and if he didn't take action, the journey to the ancient soul tower would really be over. Moreover, if there was any problem, he would just use the somersault cloud to escape, and no one could catch him. To be on the safe side, when he was going up, he still used the magic of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest, and then quickly passed through the crowd and went up. At this time, everyone was looking at the few people trying at the top, but no one noticed him. But after all, everyone is not blind. Now it is still. Wu Yu quickly went up. Although he was small, he could still be seen, especially by some people who paid special attention to him. This Wu Yu, here. Suddenly someone wanted to catch him. Wu Yu looked and saw that there were mainly 2 parties. One party was the daughter of the Yin Emperor. They also followed last time. Although they were defeated by Wu Yu again last time, it seems that she still did not give up and chased Wu Yu with the 3 people around her. The other ones were the demons from Nanyan Demon Continent. Wu Yu also saw Nangong Wei in the middle of their protection. He didn't see her expression clearly, but the other demon kings had already caught up. The team from Nanyan Demon Continent was not small, so the threat was quite big. However, it was difficult for them to catch up with Wu Yu. It was such a huge momentum that Wu Yu was completely exposed. So many strong men heard such a big noise behind him, looked back, and quickly locked onto Wu Yu. Is this Wu Yu? He seemed to have intercepted the firebird just now. This guy is elusive and a threat. He was originally quite strong. I heard that he also listened to the ancient emperor's preaching. Now his strength has greatly improved. Many people in the 6th level of the realm of Taoism are not his opponents. I heard that the 9th princess's Tianling Dao weapon was snatched by him. You are really rude. It is said that the son of the Emperor Le is especially taken care of by the ancient emperor. Although he is young and not strong enough, he is said to be the candidate for the future new emperor of Yanhuang. Therefore, other princes and princesses are very afraid of him. Of course, the son of the Emperor Li relies on this Wu Yu, the envoy of the Emperor Li. Is Wu Yu going up? Stop him. There is no need. Several people in the 8th level of the realm of Taoism can't get up, let alone him. In fact, not only the eyes of the people present now fell on Wu Yu, but also on the Feng Guo Tianyuan platform. Since the Yanhuang gold pearl appeared again, the fifth mirror has not changed. The Firebird and many powerful people have always appeared. When Wu Yu appeared and caused a commotion, the top powerful people outside also saw him. This Wu Yu again. He defeated the daughter of Emperor Yin and got the Tianling Dao weapon, and he appeared here. Is he going to grab the Yanhuang gold pearl? Because Emperor Yu was treated extra by the ancient emperor, Wu Yu's appearance also attracted people's attention. Many top existences. They also looked deeply and paid attention to Wu Yu, who was chased by the demons of Nanyan Demon Continent and the daughter of Emperor Yin. On the side of the Nanyan Demon Continent group, seeing that the demon kings were chasing Wu Yu, everyone was surprised. The Black Gold Ant Queen stood beside Huangzun and asked, "Huangzun, why do you think this is?" "Princess Huang 11 will not be in trouble," asked the Kunwu demon lord. "No, I saw Princess Huang 11 just now. There seemed to be no problem. But they seemed quite angry when they were chasing Wu Yu. I remember that Wu Yu had caused trouble for Princess Huang 11 when he was in Nanyan Demon Continent." This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Huangzun said expressionlessly, "Nothing will happen. If he dares to do harm to Huang 11, I will not let him go after he comes out. It's not that he belongs to the ancient emperor." Huangzun smiled coldly and said, "If he is not the one who gets the flame gold pearl this time, then he has nothing to do with the ancient emperor." Huangzun's words were meaningful. The demon lords thought about it for a moment, and probably felt that Huangzun believed that Wu Yu and Emperor Yu were indeed the descendants that the ancient emperor valued very much, but the ancient soul tower that determines the future emperor is too important. If it is not the future emperor Yanhuang. If the emperor Yanhuang is someone else, it means that the ancient emperor did not really train them as heirs. While they were talking, Wu Yu was incredibly fast. He approached the 9 sons in another direction. People were shocked to find that in the blink of an eye, Wu Yu had reached the same level as Emperor Yu and the others, and Nanyan Yao, the monsters in the continent, as well as the marriage emperor's daughter, had already stopped pursuing them long ago. Wu Yu's ability to endure this immediately caused a commotion. People looked at him in shock, not expecting him to reach such a position. Where he was, even the air was on fire at this time. In fact, the 9 suns above his head were already quite huge, and it felt like they had occupied the entire sky. The Firebird also saw him and screamed at him. It obviously remembered that Wu Yu had attacked it at the end. How could he be in that position? It should be his physical body. It is said that this person's physical body practiced some terrible bodybuilding method. It is so intense that it can withstand the burning of the 9 suns. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that Wu Yu, a young man, would reach such a position. The people at the same level as him were all old men about the same age as Emperor Yu. He was also a feudal official of various major monastic empires. For example, the 8th level powerhouse of the Jinyao Central Empire, Jin Fenji, an old man with red hair and golden eyes, was the overlord of the southern territory in the Jinyao Central Empire, and his power was in the Jinyao Central Empire. Can be ranked in the top 5. Even these people looked at Wu Yu in shock at this time. They were competing with each other, and they didn't expect Wu Yu to come out at this time. "Wu Yu, come down. If you dare to be disrespectful to our Princess Huang 11, you must come down and accept the punishment, otherwise we will make you walk around without food." The 8-eyed bull demon king lost Princess Huang 11 and frightened him at that time. I peed, but I still felt resentful at this time. Unexpectedly, Emperor Yu spoke. He glanced at the eight-eyed bull demon king and said, "The demons in Nanyan demon continent are also so arrogant. Do they dare to yell at my Yanhuang emperor like this? You should tell me, why is Emperor Yu so disrespectful to you, Princess Huangzi? He actually defends the Yanhuang tribe. On the other hand, Emperor He, when Wu Yu was being chased up, happened to pass by a group of them and didn't see them move at all. He helped Wu Yu intercept those monsters. The alliance was said to be more pleasant before, and since the Yanhuangju appeared, just know where they went. Of course, Wu Yu didn't need their help. Brother, you are the one who made the decision for me. He took away the emperor's seal given to me by my father. This is so shameless," said the married emperor's daughter resentfully. "That's all based on your ability. You've lost all your Taoist weapons, so don't embarrass yourself everywhere unexpectedly." Emperor Yu not only refused to help her, but also made the emperor's daughter-in-law almost vomit blood. "Brother, it's unfair to ninth sister to say this." The speaker was a relatively young monk wearing a black robe. He had some evil aura about him and looked much younger than Emperor Yu, but Wu Yu knew he is only about 10 years younger than Emperor Yu. Between his eyebrows, there is an ancient word Xiao. This person is the second emperor, Emperor Xiao. His realm has also reached the 8th level of the Dao realm. He is one of the strongest opponents of Emperor Yu. Of course, he is from the Yanhuang tribe. Internal opponents. They stopped and argued over words, but Wu Yu, who was in the whirlpool of public opinion, did not listen to their quarrel. He only had eyes for the fire bird. At this time, he was very calm, thinking of ways, while moving up, and continued to move forward. Even the range of advancement is larger than others. I'm in a bad mood today. I still have to write one chapter. It's very laborious. I can only update one chapter today. I'll try my best to update more tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1099. Wu Yu's actions made the argument between Emperor Yu and Emperor Xiao seem a little awkward. So Emperor Yu and Emperor Xiao kept silent. Now people's focus is still on Wu Yu, whether inside or outside the ancient Soul Tower. It is already difficult for Emperor Yu and his men to bear in their current position, but Wu Yu is still insisting on going up. Although the speed is not particularly fast, it has shocked them. Of course, they are also unwilling and unhappy, but they are more cunning and do not express it directly. Now, it is almost Wu Yu's performance. He and Emperor Yu and his men are not in the same direction, so Emperor Yu and his men have no way to come all the way here to stop him. The burning of 9 suns is really terrible. Now many people in the 6th level of the realm of asking for the truth see Wu Yu, who is almost like a thumb-sized man. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Compared to them, Wu Yu was really high. At this time, he became the most feared object of the Firebird. Above his head, the Firebird screamed fiercely. If it was not for the distance, it would have swallowed the magma torrent directly towards Wu Yu. It must be said that Wu Yu's ability to withstand the burning of the sun will even increase as he adapts to this burning. In these countless oppress ions and calcinations, his body can even be calcined to be more powerful. His indestructible body is least afraid of fire. His body has been calcined by countless flames to create today's realm. So at this time, what they saw was that he seemed to be constantly challenging his own limits. Soon, he not only really approached the Firebird, but also got quite close to the 9 suns. Now, the onlookers were a little flustered. At the beginning, Emperor Yu and his men had no obvious chance, so everyone was relieved. But now, it seems that no one can stop Wu Yu from approaching the Firebird and the Yanhuang Gold Pearl. If he can deal with the Firebird, others may not be able to stop him at all. For example, Emperor Yu and his men, it is difficult to keep their positions now. Don't be afraid, he is not the opponent of the Firebird at all. Even if he has been preached by the ancient emperor and his strength has increased, the Firebird needs at least the 8th level of the realm of Taoism to be taken down. Yes, there is no need to worry at all, and he is on top. It is impossible for him to be as flexible as the Firebird, and it may even bring disaster to his life. Just watch, if the Firebird is annoyed, Wu Yu will definitely die. At first, everyone was quite flustered, but soon someone said so, and they were unwilling to accept it. Some of them had seen Wu Yu intercept the Firebird before, but failed obviously. Because the devouring heaven body couldn't hold up there, before Wu Yu went up, his devouring heaven body was left below, next to Nanshan Wanjiao and the others. At the position of his devouring heaven body, he saw that his original body had become so small that it was just a black dot. Of course, the Firebird was not much bigger either. Both seemed to be melted by the 9 suns at any time. How do you feel? Is it possible? Le Daizi asked nervously. Wu Yu said, the chance is not great, but I'll take the opportunity to fight. If it succeeds, it will be a big win. After all, this is the best situation so far. The flame gold pearl is in front of him, his strength has improved, and all other strong men can't interfere with Wu Yu. If he missed this time, who knows when he will have such a good opportunity again. At this time, his original body was in front of the huge Firebird. There were 9 huge, hot fireballs on his head, each of which was terrifying, like a whirlpool of death. The Firebird was full of flames, but compared with the 9 suns, it was really a small witch meeting a big witch. The Firebird was extremely ferocious. It thought that it could hide here and everything would be fine. It didn't expect Wu Yu to rush up. Although its intuition told it that this person was not a big threat, with its violent personality, it would definitely eliminate Wu Yu completely at the first time. Swoosh! In the fight against the Firebird, Wu Yu was ready to use his advantage. He knew that if he forced the Firebird to fight head-on, even if he had the Emperor's seal, he would be courting death. So, he used the law of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest. Originally, he was very small in front of the Firebird, and now he was like a mosquito, and the key was that it was quite fast. After the body became smaller, the power of the sun would actually be smaller, and it could be more handy. He sacrificed the Emperor's seal and held it in his hand in the form of a dragon sword. Although the Emperor's seal is very small now, people will never doubt its power. Generally, spiritual instruments have a magic array that can change the size freely. Of course, even so, shrinking to the current size is already the limit. Wu Yu's goal is to pick out the flame gold pearl with the toothpick-sized Emperor's seal sword in his hand. The Firebird began to attack swiftly. The attack methods of the gods of all things are sometimes very simple, but they are also very effective and terrifying. It is made up of fiery red rocks, and the magma inside is surging. It hides not just one volcano, but countless volcanoes. Therefore, the magma torrent it spews out is almost endless. The collision of its body and the cutting of its wings are also quite effective. Although Wu Yu was greatly affected by the 9 suns, because of his flexible body and swift movements, in most cases, it was difficult for the Firebird to see him. A swift mosquito. Wu Yu performed the magic of walking again. To the people on the ground, he was just a small black dot. Now he disappeared. Boom! A large amount of magma torrents splashed everywhere, as if countless blood-red ribbons were pulled up next to the 9 suns. Wu Yu is quite smart, but it is incredible that his body can withstand such scorching heat on the Fengguo Tianyun terrace. People were actually discussing Wu Yu. This sentence was just said by Emperor Minghai. If you use speed and don't go head-to-head with the Firebird, there may be hope. Because Wu Yu was in the camp of the Yanhuang clan after all, the Yanhuang clan outside were in a good mood at this time. It's just that most people have their own emperors and princesses to support, so there are not many people who are really optimistic. People watched Wu Yu and the Firebird fight, and their hearts were basically beating, and many people were even more nervous than Wu Yu himself. Another large magma torrent swept in. Even if Wu Yu dodged quickly, he could easily be swallowed up. After being swallowed, his body was instantly burned black. Although the first level of the physical world did not collapse, the damage was also quite large. Go! Wu Yu withstood the first wave of attacks and rushed out of the magma torrent. At this time, he was burned like a black man. Although his physical body was recovering quickly, it would still be quite troublesome if he was hit a few more times. The Firebird thought it had solved Wu Yu. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1100. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. The Firebird and Wu Yu were fighting again. I'm afraid that the hearts of almost all the creatures in the world of Yama are hanging because of this battle. Wu Yu just stabilized his body and stopped approaching the Nine Suns, but he didn't expect that the Firebird would come down again, almost completely blocking his way out. To be honest, this Firebird is quite irritable, especially after being attacked by Wu Yu. It was just like crazy, constantly attacking, completely burning a large area of the surrounding territory into a sea of fire. Looking down, it was a large area of magma like a fire cloud, covering the Nine Suns, especially near the central sun. The people below basically couldn't see it very clearly, but they knew that after angering the Firebird, Wu Yu was in danger. In fact, it was true. All the gods and spirits in this ancient soul tower had an incredible feeling. The blood tree and so on encountered below were actually very scary, but they were still far worse than this Firebird. There was indeed a reason why the group of people including Emperor Yuzai failed to take it down. Wu Yu dared to come up and deal with it alone. He was really brave. Now Wu Yu was caught in the bombardment of the Firebird. He could either hold on or escape directly with the somersault cloud. In such a difficult time, it was not his character to retreat directly when he knew the difficulty, and there were so many people watching at this time. Wu Yu was now holding the Divine Turtle Shocking Prison Emperor Dragon Shield and rushing directly within the bombing range of the Firebird. His target was still the Flame Gold Pearl. This time the Firebird learned to be smart and pushed Wu Yu far away, not letting Wu Yu get close to it, and trying to blast Wu Yu into powder from a distance. Maybe Wu Yu himself didn't notice that during their stalemate and maneuvering, he had several opportunities to get close to the Flame Gold Pearl, and even had a chance to almost succeed, but he kept getting closer to the central sun. When the flesh felt extremely hot, he looked up and saw that the huge central sun almost occupied half of the sky above his head. It will be troublesome if I get closer. There is no other way. Let's retreat first. He realized this problem and tried to get out of the sight of the Firebird first. He used the somersault cloud to move a little, which was not considered giving up. After going out, he continued to rush up. Maybe there were other ways. After all, Wu Yu still saw some hope. Unexpectedly, at this moment, an unexpected change occurred to Wu Yu. So far, this is the closest time he has been to the central sun. He was about to turn back and move away first, but he didn't expect that at this moment, a terrifying suction force suddenly came from above his head. Even the other people below, or the other people on the Fengguo Tianyun terrace, could clearly see that when Wu Yu got close enough, suddenly, the central sun suddenly burst into surging flames and expanded to the surroundings. In an instant, the central sun expanded by about 1/5, and this 1/5 expansion was absolutely fatal to Wu Yu. Because, he and the Firebird were both engulfed by the flames of the central sun at this moment. Then, the flames of the central sun suddenly shrank back into the central sun, but people clearly saw that when it shrank, both the Firebird and Wu Yu were swallowed up. When the central sun returned to its original state, at least it was clear that the Firebird seemed to be eaten. Of course, Wu Yu was in that range, and the change was too fast, so he must have been eaten. Suddenly, the 9 suns returned to calm, and there was nothing below, empty, as if nothing had happened. This scene was as if the central sun was a giant beast, dormant before, watching the 2 small animals fighting in front of him, and when the 2 small animals were at his mouth, he was not polite, opened his mouth directly, and swallowed the 2 small animals directly with lightning speed. The sky was quiet, and everyone below, including those top powerhouses, fell into a dead silence. This sudden change can be said to have plunged the entire Yama world into a dead silence. If you are close to it, or on the Fengguo Tianyun terrace, you can see clearly that the huge firebird is a black shadow in the central sun, and at this time the shadow is shrinking rapidly, which is equivalent to the firebird being unable to struggle at all and melting rapidly. If the firebird is dead, and Wu Yu is trapped in the central sun at the same time, people know that the reason why this world is so hot is all because of the 9 suns, which simply burn the whole world like a furnace. Because of the 9 suns, people like Emperor Yu can't get close to the firebird. They can't get close. Wu Yu can barely move around nearby, but even if he is nearby, the heat he endures is completely different from being engulfed by the sun. This is equivalent to the difference between keeping warm next to the fire and being burned by the flames directly. Emperor Yu and his people are at best keeping warm, but they can't stand it, but Wu Yu and the firebird are burned by the flames, and what they endure is no longer a level of destruction. Dead silence, silence, incredible. A young man who suddenly appeared out of nowhere, the most beautiful in the world, was attracting countless people's attention at this moment, but suddenly, he encountered a disaster and disappeared. It's unbelievable, this is really a case of evil being punished, and he deserves to die. Suddenly, the daughter of Emperor Yin laughed and clapped, the sound was very harsh. Although she seemed to have lost the imperial seal forever, the bad anger in her heart had already come out. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. At this time, even the firebird seemed to have melted completely, let alone Wu Yu. Although only the marriage emperor's daughter can speak, this fact is naturally recognized by everyone. There will be no other suspense at all. Everyone knows how terrifying those 9 suns will be. Wu Yu suddenly died in battle. To be honest, most of the people who were worried about him getting the flame golden pearl just now were secretly happy. Of course, some people may feel a little regretful. For example, the regent outside, or the emperor of the underworld. Of course, Emperor Minghai was not feeling sorry, but his face turned pale, he took a few steps back, and continued to watch with wide eyes. Maybe he was the only one who knew about the soul-controlling blood array, so he was the only one who had such expectations at this moment. Wu Yu was able to come back alive. However, it didn't happen for a long time. The more time passed, the more hope was lost. Now that the message inside could not be conveyed, maybe Princess Yuking was dead. Wu Yu was in the limelight this time, going alone to snatch the flame golden pearl. There were many people who were looking forward to his death, so at this time, although everyone didn't say much, they basically understood it tacitly. Many people looked at each other and smiled, feeling so comfortable that it could be said that it was all indescribable. This Wu Yu loves to show off too much and is too confident, but after all, he is still too young. He is considered a generational genius and will just perish. I've said it before, if he is as high profile as he is, he won't be able to go far. There are many amazing and talented people in history who are the least able to survive to become immortals. This makes sense. After all, the more genius you are, the more you have to keep a low profile. He is so high profile and so bold this time. I can only say that he has harmed himself. He can't blame others. Even outside, most of the leaders of the major monastic empires said this. There are even some Yanhuang people among them. I'm afraid only Huangzun, whose face didn't change much at this time, said, I'm afraid the ancient emperor won't let this guy die, This is the ancient Soul Tower. Of course, this is her own opinion, and others may not be convinced, because everyone feels that compared to the ancient emperor's sons, Wu Yu will not receive extra care from the ancient emperor. This kind of care for the emperor's sons and daughters is like not yet. On the Shenlong side, Luo Bin's expression remained unchanged, but she was slightly absent-minded. Seeing this scene, the Shenlongs behind her looked at each other and didn't say much. Only the god-refining demonic dragon pursed his lips, as if this was what he expected. The look in it. Maybe he was thinking that it was almost time to return to the Four Seas Dragon Palace. While people were discussing Wu Yu's life and death, they were also discussing another issue, and that was the whereabouts of the Yanhuangju. At first, people noticed Wu Yu and Firebird, but now they immediately thought about it. Could it be that the flame golden pearl was just gone? Emperor Yu and the others searched with wide eyes. When they thought of the flame golden pearl, no one cared about Wu Yu's affairs anymore. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flew out of the central sun, and the golden light shone. People looked carefully, and they saw that it was the flame golden pearl. Here. At that time, when they saw the flame golden pearl again, and it was already separated from the Firebird, people suddenly became excited and became fanatical. The flame gold bead seemed to be alive. It had just appeared, and suddenly it flew away in a certain direction. There was a black circle at the end of that direction, which was the place leading to the 6th level of the Soul Tower. It's going to the 6th level. At this time, everyone realized that the location of the black circle was not too hot. Basically, anyone with the 6th level or above of the realm could rush up to it. At this time, no one cared about Wu Yu's affairs anymore. After the flame golden bead disappeared into the black circle, basically everyone who had reached the 6th level or above, or had such a presence in the team, basically swarmed around him. They chased after him, and there was even a scuffle again during the chase. However, Emperor Yu's group followed the flaming gold bead and got into the black circle. The number of people in the 5th level of the Soul Tower decreased rapidly. In the blink of an eye, less than half were left, because many people were brought up even if they were not at the 6th level of the Dao realm. Princess, leave quickly. The demon kings of Nanyan Demon Continent were extremely anxious at this time, but their princess Huang 11 was still looking at the sun in the sky. Wu Yu is dead. The princess has taken her revenge, said the Tongnu Demon King. Get out, Nangong Wei glared at him. She closed her eyes, gritted her teeth, and said, let's go up. 2 updates today.